Oh, God, that's the last time I take the TARDIS to a trip to an ice planet. Oh, let's get this heater on, shall we? Oh, there we go. That's better. Hello, everybody. How are we? I am your host, Luke the Howdy Bean. You are listening to the Howdy Beans podcast, live from the TARDIS itself. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're all good, as per usual. Hope you're lovely and warm and toasty this Christmas season. I know I'm not at the moment, but I'm going to hopefully warm my cockles up while talking about a Christmas special that I absolutely love and adore for many, many reasons, mostly because it's the introduction of Donna. But just because it's a brilliant episode as well. But before we get into all of that and more, because I'm in the TARDIS, I want to do a bit of housekeeping because I like to keep my TARDIS nice and clean. So make sure that you follow me on Twitter at howdybeans_pod. If you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you listen to this on Spotify, don't forget to give me a follow and to rate the podcast. You can also find the Howdy Beans podcast on TikTok. Just type in the Howdy Beans podcast. So, as I said, today we're going to be looking at Doctor Who, The Runaway Bride from Christmas special from 2006. Before I get into my thoughts and feelings on sort of memories of this episode, I just want to give people a quick update for anybody who's jumping in here. I have reviewed the Christmas Invasion. That was a week or two ago, whenever this one comes out. So if you want to go back and give that a listen, please do. I had a lot of fun with the Christmas Invasion. And obviously that was the introduction of David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. So that one's quite important for this one as well, because it kind of leads on, especially from Series 2, of what happens and how the Doctor feels in this episode. So if you haven't watched that episode, and if you haven't watched that it's Christmas special, go back and watch it now because it's Christmas and it's a Christmas episode and it's the perfect time for it. So yeah, my sort of memories of the Runaway Bride. To be honest, I think I missed this one Christmas Day. 2006 Christmas Day was a very busy one. I don't remember it very much, but I remember it was very busy, and I didn't have control of the TV at all. So I missed this one Christmas Day, sadly. But I remember watching it later on. And just loving it. But at the same stage, it was kind of the same feelings I was getting for the beginnings of the Christmas Invasion. Because, like, in the Christmas Invasion, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep watching Doctor Who because Christopher Eccleston was gone. The 9th Doctor was gone. I wasn't sure if I cared anymore, like if I wanted to carry on watching it. Because, again, I was still young and impressionable. And obviously, it was my introduction to Doctor Who. And he was my Doctor. But I kept watching, and obviously I fell in love with David Tennant, and obviously the rest is history. But I got the same feeling with The Runaway Bride because I loved Rose. Because, again, Rose was my first companion. So I've had Rose for 2 series now. And then for her to go was very sad, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, now, sort of being an older fan, and in hindsight, I do think Rose had to go, to be honest. But at the time when I was younger, it was a difficult one. It was like, I don't know if I want to keep watching because the Doctor and Rose, that's all I know. And now Rose is gone. Should I keep watching? And then with the Runaway Bride and the introduction of Donna, and obviously Catherine Tate being a big rising star at the time, and she was absolutely hilarious. And nobody really knew if she could properly act or not. We knew she was funny, but could she do anything other than just be sort of act, just be sort of Catherine Tate, her comedy skits. It was one of those where it was like, I'm not sure. But I remember watching this episode eventually and just falling in love with Donna, falling in love with how not just how funny he is, but also the fact of how different she is from Rose. How that in this one, she's like, she doesn't stand for any of it. She's not like, oh God, flut her eyes at the spaceman. She's like, no, take me home. I'm going to get married. I don't want to be involved in any of this. Just take me home. None of this is real. Stop it. Sort of like she reminds me of Tegan, which is the fact of, I don't care. I want to go home, and I love that. I do. And I loved it then. And it was wonderful, after, because again, I love Martha. I think Martha's one of the sort of most underrated modern Doctor Who companions ever. She deserved way better than what she got. But even though I loved Martha, she was still only there for like one series, to be sadly. But then when we got Donna as a companion, I remember like that was my favorite sort of time because I just loved the Dr. Donna. They just work so well. And that was why I got so excited for the 60th anniversary when Donna came back, when Catherine Tate came back and you had the 14th Doctor and Donna. It was just, it was lovely. So yeah, this kind of started my love of Catherine Tate, as an actress as well, but her character as Donna, but also the fact of it's a really good episode, a really good episode of Doctor Who, and it like I sort of alluded to in the Christmas Invasion, to the idea that how humanity needs the Doctor, and how this episode specifically really does show that if the Doctor wasn't around, things would be really bad for humanity. And obviously, in Turn Left, which involves Donna, we see that the Doctor would have died here if it wasn't for Donna. He would have sacrificed himself, and then we would have had what comes next, with the other Christmas specials and all the other episodes and stuff like that. We would have been buggered without the Doctor being around. So that's why we need him. And again, I love that. I really do. So that's my sort of memories of this episode. Like, it's been a while since I've watched it. I haven't watched this one since last Christmas. So it's been a while. But I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, seeing the sad Doctor, to be honest, because obviously in this one, the Doctor's recently lost Rose. So he's kind of a little bit of a depressy boy, to be honest. So I want to, I'm looking for, even though it sounds sad to say that, but I'm kind of looking forward to see that, to see his evolution, to see where he is in this episode, in his mindset, how he acts, how he treats Donna, how he's trying to be himself. He's trying to be the Doctor, but he's still got that. He's still got Rose on the brain. He's still the fact of, I've just lost my best friend and somebody who I really, really love. But I have to keep moving on. Otherwise, things are going to happen, so I have to keep moving. So I've got to keep saving the day. I haven't got time to sit around and mourn and be sad. Even though he is a depressy boy, he has to keep going. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. How the review's going to go is a lot like the Christmas Invasion. I'm going to talk about my feelings of the episode, talk about the production of the episode. And there's a lot to talk about the production of this episode, to be honest. So that should be interesting. I'll break down the story, break down sort of the sad Doctor, the villain of this story, which is the Rachnos Queen. And then overall, I'm going to wrap it up with, does it work as a Christmas special? So I'm going to go off now and watch The Runaway Bride. And when we come back, we're going to be talk about it. And I'm really excited. So get yourself a nice hot chocolate, get the heating on, and I'll see you all in a Flashes of Flashes. And welcome back, everybody. So I've now watched The Runaway Bride, and to be honest, it's a lot like the Christmas Invasion. I'm full of smiles, I'm full of joy, I'm full of nostalgia, I'm full of Christmas hope, and I just feel warm. It's lovely watching Doctor Who when I had I still have a deep, deep love and passion for Doctor Who, and that will never go, no matter where the series goes, no matter how old I get, no matter who's the Doctor, whatever. I will always have a deep, seething love and passion for Doctor Who. But it's lovely to look back and to watch the episodes that I grew up with, and just to get those feelings again of pure fun, pure passion, pure love for something that is completely new to me, was new to me, but also is familiar. It's like putting on an old coat or an old pair of shoes. It's like, yes, it's a bit worn, it's a bit tattered, but it's the most comfiest pair of shoes or coat you've ever worn in your life. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like a hug from an old friend. It just, you can't explain it. It's just when you feel it, you know. And that's how it feels. And to have not just one of my favorite Doctors back, but also to have one of my favorite companions with that Doctor, to have that introduction, to have that moment of having Donna being Donna, where she's like, leave me alone, Martian. And then I love the part when, she goes, leave me alone, Martian. And he's like, I'm not from Martian. You can just tell, like, he's kind of fed up of trying to explain to her that he's not from Mars, but she's not having it. She keeps calling him Spaceman and Martian, and he's like, I'm not. And I love that, because you don't see that much nowadays, and you didn't. And it was new to me back then, where you actually had a companion, or even a temporary companion, that was very rebellious against the Doctor. Well, you did in the classic era, but what I mean is the fact of to have a companion where she was like, I don't care. I don't care about this technobabble. I don't care about what any of this. I'm not interested in all how beautiful, fascinated any of this is. I just want to get back to my wedding. And Donna was very different from Rose, and that is kind of what was needed as well. You didn't want a companion that was like Rose, where she was like just falls heads over heels for him and just takes everything he says as face value. Like, she questions everything. It's like, what's this? Why is that? And the Doctor's having to explain everything. And I love that. I love that new dynamic of that new sort of temporary companion where Donna is very much of like, come on, spaceman, like, take me home. I don't want to be involved in any of this. Why am I so important? Who am I? And the Doctor's trying to sort of figure it out. And it's like, you're not special. You're not anything. You're just human, And she's like, oh, thanks, sort of thing. And he's like, well, no, I don't mean like that. And she's like, no, you said it now, that sort of thing. I love that, and I love the Rachnos. I love the villain and how it was like that's part of the dark times, and that's sort of part of the lore of Doctor Who that fascinates me because a little known trivia fact for most people don't know. During the dark times, the Time Lords went to war with vampires. Vampires exist in Doctor Who. Dracula, say Dracula, but vampires and stuff like that exist, and I think probably Dracula does exist because I know there is a William Hartnell First Doctor story book that came out I think this year called Dracula. So potentially Dracula does exist, but vampires exist and things like that. So having giant carnivorous spiders like the Rachnos that feed and sort of decimate planets and stuff like that. I love that idea of the dark times of when the Time Lords went to war for dominancy in the sort of known universe, which kind of, you could say, led to their downfall because they got too big for their boots. As the Doctor says, he says, sometimes I think a Time Lord lives too long. Yeah, they do. And they did. And that's what led to their sort of great fall and the end of the Time War, really, the last Great War. I'm getting off track, but yeah, I love the Rachnos. I love that. Lance, he's played so well. I don't know, I can't remember the guy who plays him, but he's played so well because at first you're sitting there, you think, oh, he seems like a really decent guy that cares and loves her. He realizes what Donna's like. She's a bit sort of mouthy, a bit gobby, but he loves her. And then to have that heel turn where you think he's going to be the hero and he's actually a knob. Pardon my language, but he is. And he gets his comeuppance, and you kind of feel sorry for Donna at that point. You're kind of like, oh, poor her. But I do really love this episode. I would say I prefer this over Christmas Invasion, even though I enjoy Christmas Invasion. I think what puts this above Christmas Invasion is the fact of you get more of the Doctor here. As I mentioned, in this one, in sort of the Christmas Invasion, he's asleep for most of it, and you'd only really get the Doctor at the end. But then that's kind of like Proto-Doctor. That's kind of new Doctor. That's a new version of this incarnation of the Doctor. So we don't really know what kind of Doctor he is yet because we haven't seen Series 2 and we haven't seen him be the Doctor yet. And obviously, as I mentioned in that episode, you have to watch sort of the Children Need episode to kind of have a bit more of the Doctor than what you get. Whereas this one, we have a Doctor that's been through Series 2, has lost Rose, and he's a depressy boy, which I'll get onto that when I talk about the story. And you get to spend more time with him as being a Doctor, sort of a Doctor that's already established, a Doctor that we know. Which is great, and I enjoy that. And again, you get Donna as well, and sort of the introduction of her and how she is with the Doctor and how she treats the Doctor and the story in the Rachnos. And yeah, I just feel like if I had to choose between the Christmas Invasion and the Runaway Bride, I would choose the Runaway Bride because I prefer it, because it just has more of what I want and more of what I love. They're both equally great, but I just prefer the Runaway Bride. As for the story, like I said, it revolves around Donna. So she's at a wedding. She's about to get married, and then she gets transported onto the TARDIS. And the story is basically the Doctor trying to figure out why. How is it that this normal random woman has appeared on the TARDIS? And then as the story goes on, you learn that she has Huron particles in her, which is the same particles that are in the heart of the TARDIS. And that is why she managed to get onto the TARDIS. And as the story goes on, you try to link out of why she's so special. Why the pilot fish, which again, they brought the pilot fish back, which I love, but they also give more reason to the pilot fish now. And as I was watching this, it makes me wonder of are the pilot fish, are they the robots for hire? Or are they, in a way, were they always working for the Rachnos Queen, or were they just there when the Sycorax were there? Like they were there first, and then the Sycorax came later, and that they tried to muzzle in. Because it also tried to make me think of like, well, in the Christmas invasion, the Doctor was still full of regeneration energy, so he was basically a battery. So was the idea that the Rachnos Queen came to get the Doctor, sent the pilot fish to come get him, couldn't get him, so they left, and so she wanted the battery as sort of the Doctor to feed all of her babies to bring them back, or was it? Or were they always part? Not well. Were they always part of the Sycorax? So. And then it happened to be the fact of, well, we couldn't get the Doctor, so we'll do this different thing with Torchwood, which roads always lead to Torchwood. Torchwood are always around, especially what I love about these series, this generation of Doctor Who, is that Torchwood is always ever present. And obviously being a new fan to Torchwood, it's quite wonderful whenever the name is mentioned, like, oh, Torchwood. I love it. But yeah, so was the fact that, well, we couldn't get the Doctor, so new plan, we're going to do this Torchwood experiment, and we're going to get the Huron sort of particles, we're going to put them in some random person, and we're going to make her the battery. Because this is only a year later from that last one, So during the 6 months while the Doctor's off with Rose doing adventures, Rose is getting sort of drugged, and then Christmas, the Runaway Bride comes along, and she's now the new battery. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. Maybe, like I said, the pilot fish are just sort of robots for hire and scavengers in the universe, potentially. I don't know. But I like my headcanon. I think my headcanon is more interesting with the fact of, no, they were originally after the Doctor, but they couldn't get the Doctor, so they left. The Sycorax came, and they went to Donna, and then the pilot fish went to Donna instead. Maybe. I don't know. But I love that. So you have that sort of story going on and trying to figure out why why Donna is so special. But you've also got the Doctor as well. And like I said, he's a depressy boy. He's sad, the sad Doctor. And I don't like seeing the Doctor sad, any incarnation of the Doctor, but I don't like seeing the Doctor sad because the Doctor's, obviously, it's not human. But the Doctor is kind of always full of hope. Always full of joy. If you've watched, it's going to be a random comparison, but bear with me. If you watch Shawshank Redemption, one of the things that kept Andy Dufresne so sort of likable and so full of powerful, and why that movie's so great, is because he never lost his hope. He always had hope that he'd always get out. And you have that hope watching him that one day Andy will get out. And then when he finally does, you have that moment of relief of like, oh my God, he's finally done it. After years and years and years, he finally escaped and he's a free man. And it's the same with watching the Doctor. Where it's like, no matter what's going on screen, no matter how dangerous, no matter how scary, no matter how worried you may be, the Doctor always saves the day. You're hiding behind the settee because the Daleks have invaded and they're killing everybody. But you know that you can look behind the settee, you can peek because the Doctor's on screen. The Doctor's going to save the day. The Doctor's always going to be there. So when the Doctor's sad, you're sad. You kind of have that secondhand emotion. You have that sort of like, oh, don't be sad. It's okay. And obviously if you've watched series 1 and series 2, and then the end when Rose goes, even though she's still alive, she's no longer with the Doctor, you feel his pain. You're right there with him, and like I said at the introduction, I was the same. I didn't know if I wanted to keep watching Doctor Who. I was questioning it because it's like, without Rose, what is Doctor Who? Because to me, that's what Doctor Who was at the time. And that's the thing. It's one of those where watching it and thinking, like, well, okay, Rose is gone. We've now got this new companion, Donna. I don't know how I feel about that. And you can see there are many moments in this episode where the Doctor's kind of the same, where like, when Donna's on the TARDIS for the first time, and she's like, I knew it. I knew I wasn't the first one. Where is she? What have you done to her? And the Doctor kind of like, he's off in his kind of like techno babble talking about science and that. And then he kind of looks over and his face just drops. And I swear to God, his hair changes as well. He goes from having sort of this quiff till his hair just droops down, just sad. Like his face is sad, his hair's sad. And he kind of just looks at sort of Donna. He's like, that's my friends. And she's like, where is she? What have you done to her? Has she gone for a spacewalk? and he's not smiling. There's nothing on his face. There's no emotion at all. It's just pure depression on his face. And she's gone, sort of thing. And she's like, where has she gone? And he's gone. And you can see, and there are many moments, and not just in that moment, but there's many moments in this episode where he just changes the topic. When the doctor saves Donna, and she's like, jump, and she's like, I'm in my wedding dress, and he's like, yes, you look nice, now come on, sort of thing, which is a great line. He saves her, and then he saves her, and they're on the roof, and he's like, okay, we've got to let the TARDIS a bit, and she's like, what happened to your friend? And instead of, before the doctor could even sort of say anything, he just changes the subject. He goes, well, what about you? Where do you work? What do you do? He changes the subject, so you can tell he doesn't want to talk about it. And then when they finally get to sort of the wedding sort of reception, the party, the doctor's sort of standing there, and you can tell that this is not the doctor from the beginning of the Christmas invasion. This is not the happy guy that wants to have Christmas dinner anymore. This guy's been through a lot. And he's kind of just looking at the people in the Christmas party, and he's just getting memories of Rose. Like, he sees a blonde woman, and she looks like Rose from behind, and you can see on his face like he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know. He's just standing there at the back of the corner, like he's just watching everything. But you can tell he wants to be happy, but he just can't. He's like, I don't do this anymore. This is not who I am. I did this last time, and I can't do it again. And you feel for him. You do. You really do feel for him. And again, you don't want the doctor to be sad, but he is. And it's one of those where, like, he trying to distract himself. It's like he sees a guy with a phone, and he looks at the phone, and he tries to see who this C.E. Clements is, the company that Donna works for, and he realizes that they're linked to Torchwood, and he realizes what Torchwood are doing, and they were looking the particles, and now Donna's not safe, and the pilot fish come back, and you have a Christmas tree. And it's like, it's always Christmas trees. And you think, oh, okay, the Christmas tree is going to come alive and going to spin, which they could have done that. But no, obviously, no, they wanted to do something different. So they decided, well, we're going to, instead of it spinning around and try and chop people up, it's going to have the baubles come alive, and they're going to be bombs and blow things up and stuff like that. And I think that's great. I do. I like how they changed the pilot fish. But yeah, you do get a very sort of depressed doctor in this one. It's a bit sad. And it kind of leads into sort of the villains with the Rachnos, where, again, like I said, I love the Rachnos. I really do. I think they're absolutely a fantastic villain, and one I'd like to see return. I don't know how they would do it, but again, it's time travel. So there's a way you could go back in time where you could meet so you met the Empress here, you could meet the King, or you could meet like the Daleks, you could meet like the remnants of the Rachnos on another planet, or you'd go as far back as finding you'd go back further and you could just find more spiders and more Rachnos sort of thing. So you could always bring them back. There's always a way to bring them back. But I really enjoy the Rachnos here. I think they're a great villain. And obviously Lance, he's a villain as well. How he's just, like I said, a very horrible person. And he's working for the Rachnos Queen, thinking, it's kind of funny because she's promised him the same as what the Doctor promises. How, like, the Rachnos Queen promised me the stars, that she would take me through the stars and she'd show me everything. And it's kind of, you can see the parallels, like that's what the Doctor promises. The only difference is the Doctor actually means it, whereas I don't think the Empress does. I think she's generally just using him. He's just so sort of blinded to the fact of, oh, I'm going to see the stars, I'm going to see everything, that I don't mind just killing one person if it means I get to see everything, And when it comes to sort of the Rachnos Queen and her plan, and that, I love the idea that the planet Earth was made because the Rachnos ship, how like the Rachnos was trying to run away and hide from the war, from the Time Lords and everybody else that was going against them, that they decided that they're going to incubate and they're going to hide, and they made the planet, and they absolutely made planet Earth, and that inside the planet Earth is a ship, is an egg capsule, is an egg sac, and it's full of loads of spider eggs. And it's kind of funny how, and I know we had this in the Capaldi era, how the Earth was made from a Rachnos eggshell ship thing, so so it was the egg that made the Earth, but also it was an egg that made the moon, how the moon's an egg as well. I love that. I just think that's really odd that it's weird to happen twice, very much coincidence. Like, you had this planet and then another alien race comes along and goes, oh, this would be a great place to plop an egg, and plops an egg, and then there's the moon. So strange, so weird, but that's Doctor Who for you. That's why we love watching it, because it makes no sense, but it's great. You know what I mean? And then the Doctor manages to save the day. But I love this shot as well, where the Doctor gives his warning, and he does this in the Christmas Invasion, where he's like, no second chances. And you see this through series 2, but you see it mostly in these 2 specials, where like the Sycorax leader, like he wins, and the Doctor walks off all happy cheery, all is well, another day saved. And then the the Sycorax king gets up and tries to betray this pact, and he gets to Satsuma, throws at the bottom, kills him, and he goes, no second chances. That's the kind of Doctor I am. And it's the same here. It's the fact of, I'll give you one chance to leave, to stop. And the Racnos Queen's like, no, I'm not doing it, you foolish man. I'm not doing it, no. And he's like, fine, on your head. I warned you. And then he floods the Thames. Well, say floods the Thames. You can't flood the Thames because the Thames already flooded. But he gets the Thames and he floods the facility, and like floods and kills all of the queens. And you got the Donna looking up at the Doctor, who he's like, he's wet, he's soaking, there's water going everywhere, there's explosions, and he's just watching. His eyes are not moving like his queen. Like, she's screaming like, my children, no, my children. And the Doctor has just got this look on his face, the Time Lord victorious, just look on his face like, I always win, I'm a winner. You know, the time belongs to me and only me. And he's just watching it. And again, if Donna wasn't there, again, this is why the Doctor dies in this situation in Turn Left, because he just kind of sits there. He's like, he's depressed. I think at that stage, the Doctor would happily have died there, because he's that sad that he would happily died and just sacrificed himself to kill the Racnos Queen. But also, you could say he was depressed because he lost Rose. Like, if I don't want to go on without Rose, that sort of thing. But this is why Donna is so special, because Donna was there, and Donna was like, Doctor, stop. She made him look away, and she said, look, it's enough. You've done it. Let's go. Stop. And he kind of sort of breaks out of it. He's like, yes, you're right, and sort of runs off, and and then obviously Saxon kills her anyway, which we'll talk about that bit in a second. And then the Doctor saves the day, and he takes her back home, and he says, well, do you want to you can come with me, travel the stars with me? And she's like, no. And she's the first sort of companion to tell him no. She's like, no, I don't really want to travel with you. You're dangerous. And this is the life that you live, and it's not for me. Like, I want to live and experience a lot of things. I want to travel the world, but I don't want to be in danger. So no. And basically saying to the Doctor, like, you are dangerous. Like, you need somebody with you. And she does say to him, like, find somebody, because you need somebody. You can't be on your own. Because she invites him for Christmas dinner, and he's like, oh, well, I don't do that anymore, because again, he did that last year with Rose and Jackie and Mickey. And she's like, no, I don't do that anymore. Like, that's not me. Just to emphasize the fact of he's evolved, he's changed. And he goes, all right, just let me go do something. And obviously he goes to run away, and she's like, Doctor, and she knows that he's going to go, and he comes back, and that's when she says to him, like, find somebody, like, will you be okay? And he goes, yeah, I'll be all right. And it's that thing of like, please find somebody, because you are dangerous, and it's true. The Doctor, especially this incarnation of the Doctor, he is that Doctor that is, this Doctor's full of ego. I love David Tennant's Doctor, but he is very much full of ego. He's very egotistical. He's very sort of like, I'm the Doctor. I'll save the day. I'll do this. I'll do that. Time Lord victorious. The time belongs to me. And that's kind of what screws this Doctor up in the end, is because he's got so much ego that outweighs a lot of things that he does, to the point of he ends up realizing when he has to say Wilfred of like, oh, yeah, I am the Doctor, but that, I'm not, I'm the power's gone to my head, like I'll save the day. And then he does, and he saves Wilfred, and it's absolutely lovely. But getting back sort of where I was, because I went a bit too far then in sort of that Doctor's timeline. But yeah, he does need somebody. Then he meets Martha, and obviously he's still dealing with the loss of Rose at that stage. And like I said, Martha deserved better, but we'll get there when I get around to series 3. But he does finally find somebody. And then it ends. But before I end, I do want to talk about the little hint at Saxon. So at this stage in the game, I think this might have been the first mention of Saxon. I think I'm right there. And it's kind of like Bad Wolf. It's kind of one of them things, or like Torchwood, that keeps popping up. And obviously we don't find until the end of series 3 who Saxon is. And again, I won't give it away here just because just in case, I know it's in the past, but just in case anybody who doesn't know, I'm not going to give it away because it's a good sort of surprise. But this is our first hint of Saxon, of who Saxon is. And how important that character is going to be going forwards. And like I said in the Christmas Invasion, when Harriet Jones ends up getting sort of replaced and sort of lack of confidence as the Prime Minister, that leaves a void open for somebody else, and that person being Mr. Saxon, which you could say is the fall of the golden age and the start of a new age. But I won't go into it because, again, I know it's in the past, but I want to leave it sort of fresh for anybody who is following along, who's new to Doctor Who, who's decided to follow on. But again, if you know Doctor Who, which if you listen to this, you probably do, you know who Mr. Saxon is. But I love that sort of nod to what's going to come next, sort of in the future. So I want to talk about the production before I sort of mention if this works as a Christmas special. So go on to production because there's a lot to talk about the production. So Russell T Davies had the idea for this episode from the very beginning of his association with the programme, and he planned to air it in Series 2 with the public announcement of 2 Christmas specials and the private knowledge of Billie Piper leaving at the end of Series 2. Davies decided to elevate this story to the Christmas special, not introducing the new companion immediately and fill in the slot with Tooth and Claw. The end of Doomsday is featured as part of the pre-sequence, although the scene was actually refilmed. In his online podcast commentary for the episode, David Tennant explained that this was due to a change in lighting supervisors, and the one hired for this episode liked to light the TARDIS interior differently. The scene therefore had to be refilmed in order to match. The Doctor Who logo in the opening credits had been slightly redesigned from the previous one, with more background detail and flair on the lozenge that the words Doctor Who sit on. For legal reasons, the production team made obviously fake banknotes for the scene where money comes flying out of a cash point. The £10 notes feature the Doctor's face and the phrase, "I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of 10 Sasumas and no second chances. I'm that sort of man." The text is a reference to the Doctor's actions and dialogue near the end of the Christmas Invasion. There were £20 notes also featuring producer Phil Coulson. These had the phrases, "There's no point being grown up if you can't be a little childish sometimes," printed on them, misquoting the line originally spoken by the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, in Robot. "There's no point in being a grown up if you can't be childish sometimes." All notes and cash machines were labelled London Credit Bank. Due to her extremely busy schedule, Catherine Tate was unable to present for the script read-through. As a favour, her part was read by Sophia Myers, who played Madame de Pompadour in the 2006 series episode The Girl in the Fireplace. This was the first Doctor Who episode to be shot at the new dedicated Upper Boat Studios in Pontypridd. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The TARDIS set had previously been housed in a former warehouse space in Newport. Although the episode was set during Christmas, filming took place in July, where temperatures reached 30 degrees in Cardiff during filming. Night filming of scenes involving gunfire, explosions and a tank, as well as those on Oxford Street, were filmed on St Mary Street outside Hull's department store in Cardiff city centre. Cardiff Castle is visible behind the tank in some shots. In a podcast commentary for the episode, David Tennant and executive producer Judy Gardner discussed a sequence that was cut from the broadcast as broadcasted. As Donna finds a piece of Rose's clothing and challenges the Doctor about it, he angrily snatches it from her and sets a course for the TARDIS. As originally filmed, the Doctor first opens the TARDIS doors and throws the garment into space. Gardner said it was cut as it was too melodramatic a moment. The TARDIS chase scene down the A4232 Grangetown Link Road was shown at a Children Need concert, which featured a live orchestra performing many of the music themes from Doctor Who, including the Dalek music and Rose's theme. The clip was leaked online shortly after the event, and the concert and clip were shown earlier before the episode officially aired on Christmas Day on a Doctor Who Confidential special at 1 p.m. So that is the production notes. As for sort of wrapping things up, does this work as a Christmas special? In my eyes, yes. If anything, it is a perfect Christmas special, because like sort of the Christmas Invasion and like any Christmas special should do, this brings us hope. It brings us hope for a new beginning, for a hope for change. Because in this one, like I said, the Doctor is sad in this one, but he kind of gets a little bit rejuvenated. He kind of, at the end of it, you would think the way he is and what happened with Rose, that he wouldn't want another companion so soon. But because of how special Donna is and how wonderful Donna is, that kind of resparks that rejuvenation in him of like, well, yeah, I think I could see myself with this person. I could have Donna with me. I could, and she obviously says no to him, but it kind of leaves him open, leaves him fresh for sort of Martha being like, yeah, I think I am ready for somebody new. And then obviously what happens with Martha. But it does work as a Christmas special for the same reason why Christmas Invasion does, because it shows you why we need the Doctor and why the Doctor is so important and why Doctor Who at Christmas is so important. And not to sort of repeat myself for the things I said in the Christmas Invasion. But I love the idea of having bringing back the pilot fish, and also that the Rachnos Queen's ship looks like a giant star in the sky. And before it starts attacking people, it's one of those where people look, it's Christmas. It's a giant star in the sky. It's very symbolic of a very sort of Christmas sort of tale image, a big star in the sky, which I love. And yeah, it's one of those sort of things of like, when you watch this at Christmas, which I am, and hopefully you guys are as well, you're watching along with me. When you watch these specials and the Runaway Bride at Christmas, it just works. Doctor Who and Christmas just works. And it feels weird. It's kind of funny that it's been announced that the next Doctor Who Christmas special is going to be next year, in 2026, that we're not going to get one this December, which is really sad, because it would be lovely. Like, yes, we've got the War Between the Land and the Sea, but that's not really a Christmas focus. That's more of an offshoot, a new sort of side series like Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures, really. Like, it's not a Christmas specific. So I'm glad that we got Christmas back for next year, but to have it not here in 2025 is a bit sad, really. And it is. So as these two specials, as the Christmas Invasion and the Runaway Bride, they both work at Christmas specials. They both fill you full of Christmas love, Christmas joy. Doctor Who belongs at Christmas. It just works. And it just fills you full of hope. And again, you can imagine watching this back in 2006 and being hopeful of what is the future going to be? What's going to be next? And then when this ends, to see that reel of this is what you've come to look forward to in the next year. You've got the Doctor, you've got Martha Jones, you've got the Daleks coming back, you've got William Shakespeare, and you've got witches and pigmen and all this different stuff of like, that's exciting. So it kind of gives you hope for next year. No matter what happens next year, the Doctor will return, and that's wonderful. So yeah, I absolutely loved this special. I really, really did. And I can't wait for whatever comes next in terms of Doctor Who. I know what I'm doing in terms of next for Doctor Who next year. Next year, I'm going, and this is going to be sort of me, what I'm going to be looking at. Next year, I'm going to go back to the Ninth Doctor, and I'm going to reread and review the Ninth Doctor stories. I'm also want to look into the Big Finish of the Ninth Doctor now that Chris Eccleston has come back to do the role of the Ninth Doctor, how that works in terms of Big Finish. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And also I want to look back at the classic Doctor as well, the William Hartnell, and read some of the classic books and review some of the classic episodes. So there's a lot of Doctor Who goodness coming from me in terms of Doctor Who. So again, by all means, stick around, and eventually I will get around to series 3, talking about the Doctor and Martha and their run, and then their books, and then finally getting back around to Torchwood. I don't know when I get around about Torchwood. It might be next year. I mean, when I say next year, I mean like 2027 at this point. But we'll see. Either way, there's a lot of Doctor Who goodness coming next year, and I can't wait. I'm absolutely excited for it. And it's going to be great. It's going to be brilliant. And I think you're all going to absolutely love and enjoy it. So, yeah, thank you all for joining me this holiday season. Hopefully, you're enjoying all the other Christmas episodes that I've done so far, all the other Christmas movies. If you have, please do share them with friends. Share these episodes with friends. Share this one. Share the last Doctor Who special with people. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Keep warm, drink loads of hot chocolate, be merry, be festive, and be happy that, Christmas is here, because it is the most wonderful time of the year. So, thank you all for listening. I've been your host, Luke the Howdy Bean. You've been listening to the Howdy Beans podcast, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Merry Christmas and goodbye.